Hi, Terry here again. And let me say again that if you hear noises in the background, hammering or sawing or whatever, we're in a relatively new condo development, so they're building the condo next to us. So you might hear some construction stuff. I'd like to talk about today learning. That learning never stops. Even very familiar topics, you're always learning. Anita and I have been married for over 51 years, and we've known each other since birth. So one would perhaps think, well, we've pretty well figured things out, or we understand each other pretty well by now. But even when one of us isn't changing in radical, rapid ways, there's still things continue to learn. For example, a couple of weeks ago, I just read a paragraph about a couple of ways that people tend to make decisions, and said that some people tend toward making decisions in order to continue process, in order to get to action. In other words, I need to decide this so I can move on and go on to the next thing. Other people tend to make decisions more on the basis of, I need to make the right decision. And it needs to be correct, and I need to do everything I can to make sure that this is the better choice or the best choice of many. And we tend toward one or the other. And then I realized that I have pretty much always tended toward making decisions in order to move forward. What decisions do I need to make? So I use semi-facetiously say that I'm very good at making 55% decisions. Yeah, this one I lean toward this decision, or this one has been emerging a little bit more dominantly. So I'll make this decision so I can move on to the next step, or move on to the next thing to think about. Anita tends to think more in terms of I want to make the right decision, the best decision. So those that seek to make the right decision, the better decision, their strength is they tend to make better decisions. Don't have to back up and remake a decision or start over again. It also means taking longer, pondering more, looking at more options. And for me, it's making a decision as quickly as I can so I can move on to the next thing. And I know part of it has been reinforced by our careers, or maybe we chose careers partially based upon the way we make decisions. Anita worked for decades as an estate planning attorney. Very important to make the right decision, get the estate plan just right, and take the time you need to listen carefully to what their preferences are and so on. So yeah, she tends toward that. And I, in my career, working with people, it's more dynamic. It changes a lot. So our careers reinforced it a little bit. But it's interesting, just that understanding. So now when simple thing like going to the grocery store, if we need something, I'll just grab something so we can get on to the next aisle. Whereas Anita might stop and stare for a while or look at the labels because she wants to buy the correct type of bread or pasta or whatever. And I'll just grab something that looks good because I have another aisle to look at. So it's allowing her to be who she is, and then for me saying, okay, I move on, so I'm not going to stand there and get frustrated. I'll just go on and look at some other things. But again, it's mainly about continuing to learn, continuing to be curious about this relationship that has been ongoing for 51 years. On the other hand, has been evolving, has been settling in and then unsettling, and new perspectives, new ways of understanding. So one of my mantras is never stop growing. That's basically my theme for the middle and later decades of life. Never stop growing. One very close to it is never stop learning. Never stop learning. So be it in the arenas of faith or relationships or taking care of your physical body or relationships around you, living into a neighborhood, never stop learning. Remain curious. Think about what can I discover, or how can I see this in a fresh way, or what's an aha? For me, the last couple of weeks, the aha has been, this is how I tend to make decisions, and this is how others tend to make decisions. Does that mean some frustration? Well, sure, because we think differently. It also means some strength, that there are times when I can encourage, I can push toward making a quick decision because it's time to move on. There are other times where Anita can slow me down and say, this is an important decision. We need to spend some time on that. And I know it's much more complex than that. It's not, I always make this kind of decisions this way. She always makes. It can depend upon the situation or the context or who I'm with, but just the tendency to say, I learned something about this relationship of 51 years. And I wonder what I'll discover next. So, something to think about. Keep learning. Never stop learning. Never stop being curious and paying attention. Talk to you next time.